What a difference a couple of years makes. Just a couple of years ago, if you were looking for a mid-sized electric SUV, you probably would have gone for something Tesla, maybe even something Chinese. They're doing good deals, aren't they? But now, the Europeans are back in fashion, and don't they know it? Because this is the new DS No7, and it replaces the brand's best-selling car, not just in Europe, but also in the UK. And it does so with one of the boldest interiors of the whole class.
Not only that, but the electric model has a super impressive claimed range, and the hybrid is said to be ultra efficient as well, as I'll explain shortly. And if predictions are right, the price could also make the No7 one of the best value small SUVs of 2026.
Now, of course, there are Europeans for this car to face up to, and they include the BMW iX1 and the Audi Q4 e-tron, for example. But I think this, with its bold design, especially in this launch edition La Premiere, well, I think it might just stand out the most out of the lot of them. This on the nose is a little bit more, well, bold, isn't it? Look at the front over here. This is a bit like a moustache. I think it's giving French guy nice moustache, but it's all lit up as well. And you can, by the way, get a two-tone bonnet like this car has, but this is an option. If you just want it all as one color, that's the standard design. Look down here, you'll spot it's all clean, really kind of sharp angles. This apparently is all part of the aerodynamic focus of the car. And on the nose here, it's got this swoopy bit. Because of course, this is primarily an electric car, but believe it or not, they're also going to be offering two hybrid versions, and one is coming at launch. And I'll tell you the details of those in just a moment. But let me show you the side first. Because it's round the sides here that you'll see the biggest change in the car from a practicality sense, at least visually, and that is the length of the thing, because it's now 7 centimeters longer than the pretty spacious DS7 that many Brits bought. In fact, apparently more than 6,000 cars were sold in the UK, and largely customers really rated the comfort and the space inside. So this is probably a very positive thing. Also, we still get an active suspension system with a camera at the front. So it means this ride here, well, it's going to be controlled as you approach bumps. So it should, although we won't know for sure until we drive it, ride pretty nicely. But it's also promising to be quite aerodynamic. Currently, they've got the electric and one hybrid version available, but there will be another hybrid to come. But all of them will benefit from this swoopy roofline here, which comes off that very swoopy nose. And it means this has a really low drag coefficient. Effectively, it slices through the air really smoothly. And it also has really thick glass, so it should be ultra refined, not just in the ride sense, but also in the acoustic sense as well. But you know what? That's not even my favorite bit about this car. My favorite bit is round the back, because it's round here that I get to show you what I think is the coolest bit of exterior design on this car. And it's partly related to the tail lights, which I think do the similar thing to what the Kia EV9 does in their shape, but it looks quite distinct and quite DS. But I actually think the best bit is the way this roofline curves down over here, part of that aerodynamic profile, and then meets this angular rear glass here. I do think it looks great, and it really squats the tail of the car. And of course, you've got these muscular shoulders as well. So it gives quite a sporty, at least from this point, shooting brake design, which is then met by this very SUV bumper down here. And if you're wondering, yes, this is painted black. You can't get it in the body color. It always comes as painted black, but at least it's not old school plastic that needs a bit of back to black, right? Now, before I show you this car's very interesting interior, honestly, it's worth sticking around to see what's in there. I want to talk to you about this car's powertrains. Now, the interesting thing is, even though it is kind of a Model Y or an iX3 rival, there is a hybrid powertrain available at launch, and in fact there'll be another one added at a later stage. Now, the hybrid powertrain, if I refer to my notes, has 145 horsepower, but the most interesting thing and the most important one is the 53 miles per gallon that is claimed to be capable of. So that means it'll be a nice sensible car that will be relatively cheap to run. But if you go for one of the electric ones, as this is an example of, well, then you've got three to choose from. Now, you've got two single motors which power the front wheels. The entry one has 230 horsepower, but there's a long range one which has a 280 horsepower output. But crucially, and this is really impressive, it's claimed to be capable of 460 miles between charges. That's combined as well. That's not the urban stat, which is really bloody far. So if that is the case when we test it out on the open road, this could be one of the strongest capability cars in terms of getting you from A to B without charging. If you do need to charge, by the way, it will take 160 kilowatts, which means you can get about 80 miles in 10 minutes in a fast top-up. But there is an all-wheel drive version, of which this is an example, which has a rear motor as well. And that, with its two motors, gives you 375 horsepower in the boost mode, 350 in normal driving. It will hit 62 miles an hour in 5.4 seconds, so it's going to be quick. but somehow it's still capable of a claimed 421 miles between charges. That's thanks to a bigger battery. So not only do you have that high performance, but apparently you're still going to get very competitive range.
I mean, it's just 40 short of the longest range car available in Britain, the new BMW iX3, and that car costs from 59 grand. The smaller DS No7 could, if estimates are correct, cost from 45 grand, potentially making it look like very good value for money in the world of electric SUVs.
I mean, this is definitely different. You've got to give it to them at DS. They haven't gone down a path that many other brands are bothering to go down, but some of that means it's not entirely to my taste, but in other ways, I actually really like it. Let's go through the negatives first because they're a bit easier to spiel off. Now, the first is, I'm not so sure about some of these design features. While I get in isolation, they look quite cool, but in the car, they look a little bit chaotic, a little bit mad. But of course, this is the first edition, the Le Premier, so the design will be slightly different in other models. And well, the purple seats in this car and these bits is quite brash, isn't it? But I have to admit, I quite like other design features. I'm a big fan of the steering wheel. I really prefer round steering wheels, but I think this is quite cool. It feels a little bit like I'm in a spaceship. And actually to hold ergonomically, it's fine. It doesn't feel unusual or ungainly in my hands. Yeah, okay, some of the controls and switches aren't exactly where I'd initially think they'd be, but you've still got physical controls for your volume, for example, down here, and you've also got touch-sensitive buttons down here. In fact, they're on a rocker, so they are proper buttons actually, but they're just on a rocker. And then you've got some buttons down here, but the screen itself is really where most of this car is controlled, including the climate control, which is a bit of a negative because it means you don't have dials, but at least you can just play with the buttons here on screen and they're there full time because the screen is wide enough. But at the same time, it's not dominating like it would be in some of the other brands I mentioned. Some of them have their screens across the whole dash and they're massive. So in terms of just screen volume, they win outright. But in terms of, well, this just feels a bit more relaxing. It doesn't feel too screeny, if you will. I actually think I prefer this. The infotainment system itself will be familiar to you, even though this is the latest in software. It just means it's faster, but the actual system interaction will be familiar if you've driven any of the Stellantis group products of late. But it does get a unique DS finish. There's some more golds and bronzes in here as per the brand's kind of vibe. So yeah, I think it's going to be easy to get along with. And the crucial thing is, in this top of the range model and also in the other high rank models, you get massage seats, which you can control from in here as well, a heated steering wheel, and no shortage of wireless kit tech for your phone. So obviously Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And there is also a charger down here, which I see is vented. So that means it should stay cool in the summer months. I think it's growing on me the more I look at it. I don't know, let me know what you think in the comments below. And while you're there, let me know how you feel about this video. Are you enjoying it? Because if you are, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give the video a like as well. If you've done that, should we jump in the back seats? You've got to give it to DS. They haven't just thrown a load of equipment at this car, but they've also been really sensible with the materials. You see this top of the range sound system here? Well, it's got aluminium on the outside. And also the seats, they use a leather which has been sourced as an animal byproduct. So they haven't had cows killed specifically for this. They've just taken leather from other sources. And actually, generally, the whole car, most of it has been made in Europe. In fact, all of it's been made in Europe. Of course, materials get sourced from elsewhere, but the battery is made in a gigafactory up the road in France, and the whole car itself is assembled in Italy. So they really have thought about that sustainability stuff. And well, from the perspective of the back seat, it's quite nice in here. Do you know what? I am slowly beginning to like some of the flashes of the lights up front as I sit in the car for a bit longer. And in the back here, the seats are just exactly what you needed from the previous one. They've kept these comfortable, supportive seats. Yeah, there's still purple leather in this car, but I've got a good amount of space, good amount of knee room. And because there's loads of glass in this No7, there's actually 30 to 40% more glass overall. And then if you go for the panoramic sunroof, of course you get even more glass. That is bigger, by the way, than before. So it feels airy, it feels spacious. But just like the front of the car, because this isn't a bespoke platform for one powertrain, it does mean in this electric car at least, the floor is a little bit higher than I'd like it. So as you can see, my legs are upright. I can't get my toes under the seat ahead over here. So it does mean my legs are at a bit of an angle. So it's not going to be the most comfortable when you're comparing the hybrid one to other petrol cars. But in an electric comparison, yeah, it's pretty good. There's definitely a good amount of space. And I mean, as I said, there's tons of headroom above me over here. And you're not short on creature comforts. As I said, you've got the sound system in this top of the range car. You've also got heated seats and your own vents with your own temperature setting down there. More brands should be doing that in the back of cars, shouldn't they? Now, the boot is another area where this car's extra length has benefited because, as you'll see, it's grown quite a bit. In fact, there's 560 litres in there, which, if that means nothing to you, don't worry, because I never know what they mean either, but it's just bigger than most of its electric rivals. Now, the key word in that is electric, because obviously petrol cars will have a bit more depth to their boot, and this definitely doesn't have loads of underfloor storage, although you can get your cables in there in the EV, which is crucial because there's no front boot on this car. But mainly what you've gained is just this extra length over here to go with already a good amount of width as well. And if you fold the seats down, this really is like an estate that's taller. So it is quite practical in that regard. And I think that's very important because the DS7, as I said, has been one of the best-selling cars in Europe in this segment, and in the UK, it was the best-selling DS overall. So now this number 7, with its extra shiny bits and its sustainability, and crucially, its European focus. Remember, Tesla, not on the front foot at the moment, and of course Chinese brands, as well as they're doing, some people would prefer to buy local. Well, this genuinely offers something not just different, but something inherently European. I really like it. The interior is growing on me, although I wouldn't have the purple seats myself. But let me know what you think. Do you think this is a car that can compete not only with the other European equivalents, but those very competitive American and Chinese alternatives? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because if all goes to plan, I'll be driving one of these pretty soon.